Are you new to photography and ready to unleash your creativity and elevate your photography skills? With countless courses out there, it can be overwhelming to find the right one. But what if I told you that the answer is only one click away? And it's free. In this video today, we're going to be talking about the journey of learning photography and all of the resources available to you, whether that be paid or free. So the first thing you really should ask yourself is, what is your goal with photography? Are you looking to get into it for a career? Are you looking to do it for a hobby? Because that's going to determine the amount of time, effort, and money you're willing to put into it. If you're looking to do it for a career, then you're going to have to put more time and effort into it in the beginning so that you can get there a little quicker. The second thing you really should ask yourself is, how do I learn best? What is my learning style? And there is a website, I'll pop it up on the screen here, and it's free. You go on, you take a quiz, and it tells you your learning style. And this is important because not everyone learns the same way. Some people learn better with reading. Some people learn better listening. Some people, like myself, are considered a kinesthetic learner, and that means that I have to be involved and have hands-on experience, and that's how I learn best. I need to be involved with the lesson, not just being talked at and not just reading it. So understanding your learning style is really important, because then you're going to get the most out of whatever kind of course or video or whatever that you use to learn. And there'll be some tips on that for kinesthetic learners anyway. If you're using an online platform, you're not going to be directly involved, but I'll give you some tips on how to get the most out of it. And it's really simple. Number one is, don't try and take in a whole bunch of videos at once. Instead, watch a video or take a lesson online. After the first lesson, go out and use those skills. And don't worry about everything else. Don't worry about everything that you're not doing. Just use those skills. Practice those things. And that is how a kinesthetic learner can learn on their own, and not because a lot of times with kinesthetic learners, they do better in class where they can have instructors walk them through things, but it's the same thing online. You just have to do the walking through yourself. Well, and I mean with cell phones and stuff, you can be out watching the video and doing it at the same time. That's the beauty of it today. So there are lots of platforms out there that'll do paid courses for photography. There's no shortage of that. However, I don't think that that's always the best way, especially if you are just doing it as a hobby. Maybe if you were planning to do it as a career, you might want to dive a lot deeper into it and pick up some of the paid courses. A quick Google search will yield lots of results for that. However, what I want to talk about is all the free options. So YouTube is one of the best places to learn anything, in my opinion. And I don't think I've spent any money on a course in a very long time. Anything I want to learn, you can just jump on YouTube and learn. So I'm just going to talk you through the 3 channels that I feel are the best to learn photography. And these are not in particular order, meaning like I didn't put them in order of the ones I think are the better than the other ones, but these are just the 3 that I think are the standouts on YouTube right now. The first one being Pangolin Wildlife Photography. Now, that's really good, and 2 of them are really good for if you are into wildlife photography, but the skills that you learn essentially will translate to other types of photography. And Pangolin Wildlife Photography, they do a lot of tutorials on, out in the field shooting, and they'll also do stuff with editing, which I find really helped me at some points. Simon D'Entremont, I don't know if I'm saying that, I hope I am. This guy's channel is amazing. He does a lot of tips and stuff for photography that is not just for wildlife, like it can be used universally. Some of it is specific to wildlife, but a lot of it I find can be used universally. Really, really knowledgeable person, and probably one of the best learning channels out there right now, especially if you're into wildlife photography, but for anyone. And last but not least, Peter McKinnon, and probably you know about him already because he's pretty big in the YouTube space with this genre especially. But yeah, a lot of his older videos have a lot of really good tips and tricks and stuff in them, and editing and all kinds of stuff like that. So those are the three that I've used to help me along the way. And also, don't forget to subscribe to this channel because I'm going to be doing some tutorials and stuff coming up as well. So if you're interested in learning, I will be doing that as well. Today is just like, these are the resources, and it's good to be subscribed to more than one person on here because you want to get a variety of people and a variety of experiences, because one person might do something one way that it just doesn't work for you, but the other person, they could explain the same thing. Maybe they just explain it in a way that really resonates with you and it really sinks in that way. So check out multiple people, but for sure subscribe here because I'm going to be going over a lot of stuff with photography. I've been doing it a long time and I have a lot of knowledge I just want to share with people. So make sure to hit that subscribe button. So now that you know where you can learn things, how do you structure your learning? Because that's important. If you don't have structured learning, then how do you know that you're making progress, right? And that's the whole thing when you're learning a new skill, is you want to know you're making progress. So the best thing I can tell you for that is set goals. So if you've never picked up a camera before, then your first goal is going to be, well, how does this camera work? Because if you don't know how the camera works, none of the rest of it matters. So learn your camera, learn all the buttons, learn what they do, check out the menu, just spend time figuring out how your camera works. So that's your first goal. So if you set that for your first goal, how long are you giving yourself? So there's a thing called a SMART goal, and it stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. SMART goals. So the specific is basically exactly what you're trying to do. You're trying to learn the camera, how it works. So that's a specific goal. How does this camera work? Measurable. How are you going to measure whether or not you're learning it? So you need to set some sort of matrix to measure your progress. And achievable. Make sure your goal is achievable. You don't want to set a goal like, I want to be an award-winning photographer in 3 months, even though I've never picked up a camera before, because that's not realistic for most people. Maybe someone can do it. Most people cannot. And it needs to be relevant to you. Why are you doing it? It's the why behind all of it. Why are you doing it? Why is this important to you? So you have to be very clear about that, because that's going to continue to push you forward, even when maybe it's getting too frustrating for you, or maybe it's just, you're not advancing as quickly as you would have hoped. So that specific goal, the relevance to you, the why behind it all, is going to continue to push you forward on your journey, even when you don't feel like going forward. And time bound. You need to set a time limit for yourself. So you want to learn how the camera works, for example. So maybe you're going to give yourself 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, whatever it is that you think you need to make sure that you know how this camera works. So when you're out in the field, you don't have to be like, oh, what was that setting? Where did I find that? And write it down if you need to. Make a little cheat sheet and go out and just practice changing your settings, and this will also let you see what different settings do, like a long shutter speed, what it does. Changing your Your aperture, f-stops, what does that do? You can also experiment with that and see what difference it makes to your photographs. So there's some key things that I think everyone should start with, and I'm just going to stick this in here before you go. So everyone should start with learning how the camera works. Read your manual. You can watch YouTube videos on it, but understand how your camera works, because that's going to be the key to making sure that all the photography rules you learn afterwards are being put into practice properly. So the second thing I think you should do is learn the fundamentals. So it's all about light. Learn what light does. A lot of people don't start with light, they start with like exposure triangle, which is also really important, but I would recommend take some time and really learn what good lighting will do for your photos. Photography is light. That's what it's all about. And yes, the exposure triangle. Learn what that is, learn how it works, and don't forget that with the exposure triangle, a really important tool for that and making sure that you've got it right and you've got it dialed in for your exposure is your histogram. So make sure that you learn that and learn how it works. And I'm going to be covering all of these in videos to come. So again, make sure you like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.